Imagine trying to feed your family without supermarkets, without farms, without crops, without animals raised for food. Every meal depended on what you could find that day. If you couldn't find food, you didn't eat. For most of human history, this was normal. Humans lived as hunter-gatherers. They hunted animals, gathered fruits, collected nuts, dug up roots, and followed food wherever it went. For hundreds of thousands of years, humans survived this way. So how did they suddenly learn to farm? Who taught them? And how did humans figure out that tiny seeds could eventually become entire fields of food? The answer begins with something humans are naturally good at: observation. Ancient humans spent their entire lives surrounded by nature. Unlike modern people, they couldn't ignore how the natural world worked. Their survival depended on it. They watched animals, they tracked seasons, they studied plants, and over thousands of years, they began noticing patterns. When plants dropped seeds, new plants often appeared later in the same place. When fruits rotted, seeds remained behind, and months later, new growth emerged from the ground. At first, these observations probably seemed unimportant, but eventually, humans started connecting the dots. Seeds created plants, plants created food, and food created survival. One day, someone likely made a simple discovery by accident. Perhaps seeds spilled near a campsite. Perhaps discarded food sprouted nearby. Perhaps a child pushed seeds into the soil while playing. Whatever happened, humans eventually noticed something remarkable. Plants grew better in places where seeds had been deliberately placed. This was a revolutionary realization because it meant food didn't always have to be found. It could be created. At first, early farming was incredibly primitive. There were no plows, no irrigation systems, no farming manuals. Humans simply planted seeds and hoped for the best. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it failed. But every generation learned a little more. They discovered which plants grew fastest, which survived droughts, which produced more food, which tasted better. Slowly, humans became nature's experimenters. Without science, without schools, without written knowledge, they learned through trial and error, generation after generation, year after year, for thousands of years. As farming improved, something unexpected happened. People no longer needed to move constantly. Hunter-gatherers followed food. Farmers stayed near it. For the first time, humans could settle in one place permanently. Small villages appeared, then larger villages, then towns, then cities. The world began changing forever because farming produced something humanity had never seen before. Food surpluses. Extra food meant not everyone needed to hunt or farm. Some people became builders. Others became merchants. Others became soldiers, priests, artists, inventors. Entire civilizations became possible, all because humans learned how to grow food. But here's the fascinating part. Humans didn't learn farming overnight. There was no single inventor, no moment of genius, no ancient scientist who suddenly created agriculture. Instead, millions of tiny observations accumulated over thousands of years. A seed sprouting here, a plant growing there, a successful harvest, a failed harvest. Each generation passed knowledge to the next. And little by little, humanity learned how to control one of the most powerful forces on Earth, the ability to create food. And the strange thing is, the first humans who experimented with farming probably had no idea what they were starting. They weren't trying to build civilizations. They weren't trying to create cities or kingdoms or empires. They were simply trying to eat. Yet their discoveries eventually led to every civilization in human history. Every kingdom, every nation, every skyscraper, every road, every computer, every modern city. All of it traces back to people who carefully watched seeds grow thousands of years ago, which means that one of the most important revolutions in human history didn't begin with a king or a war or an invention. It began with ordinary humans paying attention to nature and realizing that food could be grown instead of hunted. A simple idea that changed the entire world forever.